All right, we are in the Maple Bay 9-hole Cup. We're in the qualifying round. Why haven't I put out any videos for a walkthrough and all that stuff? What a week. What a week. If you live in the United States, what a week. Seen stuff this week that, what a crazy, I'm telling you. Oh, crazy week. So let's go check out these holes. I haven't looked at them. I haven't tried to put any videos together. I'm just gonna go. Let's just let me see if I can remember how to play these holes. All right, hole number 1 on Maple Bay. I you can play over to this side right here. And when you're coming to the green, you got some options. You can bring a backspin club and try and start on this side. You can do a rough bump from here. And so this might not be. This is a very nice little rough bump. I've actually had a lot of success from hitting out here and coming at it. I really like shots like this where you've got lots of green to work with here. You can find out where you're at in your club. You're not stuck in one area. If you get a little bit far here, you may be in mid club. You get a little bit less, you may be in between mid max. And so this can be a little bit of a variable when you're doing a rough bump like that. And you will really need to make sure that you make great wind adjustments and know exactly where you're at in your club if you're doing it. From over here, it's not really going to matter which way the wind's blowing. We're going to have lots of run here. So our opportunity to epic fail, like we may miss the eagle, but we're on the green, we make a putt, get our birdie, and go to the next hole. I see this side right here being, a much higher percentage over the long haul. But if you hit perfect all the time, make great wind adjustments, this rough bump is great. Where I see problems here is traditionally we haven't had on these holes any headwind, but with the variable winds that we get in tournaments now, we could very easily get some kind of headwind. And these types of transitions where we have lots of water, we have sand, and we're doing these rough bumps, this headwind is going to seriously impact the shot. So whatever adjustment you're making, if we've got a tailwind or even a side wind, are going to be different from here coming to that rough bump if you have a headwind. If you're in this area right here and you don't keep up with the adjustments to the wind, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to come up short, but you're going to be on the green, make a putt, get your birdie, and move on to the next hole. So let's talk about this shot from over here. You can take this with a lower power ball. And traditionally what I've done, if you bring an extra mile here, you got one bounce out in this area, and your second bounce is just clear of this. Ring, half a ring. You're not that far in front of the sand. So once again, you need to make a great wind adjustment, especially if you're getting headwind here, because it will lay that down, and it could be very easy to clip that sand and end up in it. It's not that you can't recover from here. It's just you lower your chances. You can still get the eagle with a sand wedge, but obviously you want to end up out here in the fairway. There is a little pocket. My normal area that I'm landing for is this little indentation right here. I'm trying to come in, and this is, if I remember correctly, like a mid short iron, somewhere in that neighborhood, mid short or mid minimum club. And this will depend a lot on ball. These types of holes with a drive like this, where your red line's here and you've got a lower power ball and you've got enough top, you do not want to put on max topspin here, or you will end up in trouble. And the way that the terrain is here is the fairways like this, and then it drops off. So if you start a roll, if your roll is taking you to the edge, you're going to end up down here in the sand. So you don't have to get all the way to the tip in order to make this shot happen. What you want to be is consistent. So if you're consistently landing here, people go, well, yeah, you can get up here closer. But if you're consistently landing here, then you can work that shot. And what you don't want to be is here once and here once and here once. And if we're using a lower power ball and we've got any kind of tailwind or even a side wind, even if it was a pure side wind, you can probably use a lower power ball and get over here and be able to do the deal. But if we're getting any headwind here, you've got a couple choices. You could put on a little bit of overpower to go against it, or you'll up to a bigger ball. And what'll happen is if we have any kind of headwind and you up to a bigger ball, that means when you get out here to your landing zone, your second shot coming into the cup is going to be different. So you were practicing with a nav and your red line, your mid club was, let's say, right here. Now you've upped it up to a Titan, or you've upped it up to a bigger ball. Now your mid red line is pushed up here. So now you're going to have to adjust this based on that ball. I'm a bigger fan of, if you think on this hole, if you have headwind, that you're going to have to use a 2 or a 3 power ball, then even if you have tailwind, use the same ball. That way, because the drive is nothing more than a delivery system to get you to this spot. Oh, I don't care how I got here. I just want to be here. But that next shot will be exactly the same. Your red lines are going to be in the same spot. It's what you've practiced all week. And this shot right here will be a lot more standard. If you start switching balls, well, like this round I'm going to use a power 2 ball, and this round I'm going to use a power 1, and this round I'm going to use a power 3, then that means this shot right here is going to be different every single round. So if you know that with headwind here you're going to have to use a power 2 or a power 3 ball, then I would use a power 2 or a power 3 ball every time I take this hole. That way my second shot is exactly the same. That's just me. Yeah, I mean, if you're short on ball inventory, you can do that, but it's always nice to play the holes with the same ball every round instead of switching balls around from one round to the next. Hole number 2. Let's go play hole number 1. Let's go play it. Let's just go out there and play that hole. I have no idea. I can't remember. I know the deal here is we don't need to put on, like I said earlier, we don't need to put on max topspin. We can put on, I'm going to try it with a katana first. Let's see if we can get away with a 2 power ball. I want to see where my red line's at to see if I had, what I'm looking for in rookie is like if I can work out 6 miles an hour wind. See what the deal is. Let's go qualify. Let's go play a hole. Come on. Let's go play it. We'll play it. What the heck? Been playing a little bit of one-on-one. There's just so much stuff going on in the United States right now that I haven't been able to focus a lot on playing games. Let's see where we're at with the power 2 ball. So there's my red line. So if I wanted to work out 6 miles an hour wind, that would be where I'm at. Let's see how much wind I could work out there. Try with 4 topspin. 3.5. I'm gonna do like a 3.8. So it's a little shy of 2 rings. Little teeny. I'm gonna lean to the right. Hitting it perfect. See if that topspin was right. Maybe a little bit less topspin, because once you go through that bowl, I'm on the downward slide right there. So if I'd have had even just a titch more power, I would have ended up in the sand. That's a little too close for comfort. I'm going to put 3.5 topspin. I almost think where I was out there, if I put 3.5 topspin, I'll have to push my red line forward a little bit. If I had an absolutely pure headwind, I'd have to up the topspin up to 4, and it might be better to play that with a Titan, the king of balls, just so that you don't have to continue to make adjustments every time. This going over here to the left and going out into that area, I'm glad my opponent's going that direction so that you can see what it looks like. I think having maybe both of these shots, because if you're over here and you've got a due tailwind or you've got a pure side wind that's going along in the rough, it may make this shot a little easier. We'll see. Let's see where the hell I'm at. I'm right at minimum club. Which my Hornet is 2 per ring. Do I have enough to stop? Hell no, I don't have enough to stop. Let's get on the other side of that. It's 1.2 per ring. 3, 3, 1, 2. There's 2, 4. Leaves me 6. And a little. It's about 2 2/3, 3/4 rings. Hitting it perfect. Just a bit outside. It would probably be helpful if I brought my calculator out. Let's see what... I did a 10% adjustment on that. And if I'd have brought my calculator out, I probably would have had a better shot. I should have pulled out 3 rings, and I didn't. See, my calculator's not lying to me. My brain was lying to me. I had that all wrong. My club's 1.1 per ring. If I did 10%, that would have been like a 3/3 pull. Is that right? I got it all wrong. That should have been a 3-ring pull, and look at where I was at. That would have been perfect. I'd have been in the hole. That was an error between my stylus and my touch screen. Couldn't have been me. In the hole. Birdie. So we'll wing clubs on some of these holes and just go out there and play them. Just try and have some fun. Just treat it like it's one-on-one. It's a good news, bad news thing with the current tier system. The good news is that the scores at the top are not any different than they've been in the past. So if you could shoot a score a year ago and it was a winning score, it's probably still a winning score today. That's the good news. The bad news is that they've bunched so many people together that really good scores are not making opening rounds, not making weekend rounds, and they have a lot of really good players that aren't making rounds. And I think from Playdemic's perspective, if you make it so a lot of people aren't making the weekend round and they've shot great scores, last tournament, minimum scores 24, I saw 26s that didn't make the weekend round. When you give people their weekends back and they can go fishing or they can go hang out with their kids and do stuff, they find that, hey, maybe I like hanging out with my kids, or maybe I like going fishing, and now I don't want to play, or I'm not going to play this week, I want to go fishing. And you lose customer base. I know they want to bring in new customers, but it really seems like they're going out of their way to piss off people that have been playing for a long time. Just my opinion. All right, goal here. You got several. No, I didn't need to take a picture. You got several options here. I'm not a fan of playing to this side right here. This is where the crowd stands. The greenskeepers are always pissed off because nobody uses this. My goal is to get to this area right here. Now from this area you have several options. You can do a bounce over from here, and you can do a second bounce rough bump. You can, if you bring out a big enough ball and a big enough club, you can get up here to where you can do the actual rough bump. Or you can start off on this area right here and use curl to bring it back, curl and side spin to bring it back over towards the hole. Now obviously if you're coming at it like this, it's a blind shot. If it goes in the hole, it was 100% luck. It's going to be very hard to replicate this. Replicatable, this shot right here is somewhat replicatable with the rough bump. What I don't like about doing a second bounce rough bump on a hole like this, once again, we're at water, sand, rough. With varying winds, this shot is you're going to have to adjust based off the wind that you're getting to get that rough bump. Same thing if you do the rough bump. This is going to be a hole that we can have a lot of success on, but this is going to be a hole too that could really kick your butt. So if you're having problems chasing the wind around, coming out here to the side and bringing yourself around is not a bad idea. But if we're trying to go for it, we have two options, either the second bounce rough bump or trying to get up there far enough where we can do a rough bump. I'm not sure with a sniper even an upper developed sniper, I'm pretty sure if you bring out a big enough ball that you can do that rough bump. So let's try that. Let's bring out a Titan, the king of balls, and a sniper. I got a couple Titans, so we'll burn one. Burn it up. Let's go out and check out hole number 2. Hole number 2. I'll try the rough bump. I'm gonna do 10% wind adjustment on both shots. I know the shot going down here in the past, I've always played this with a QB, a rock. I'm a big fan of taking shots like this, especially because the fairway narrows. So the farther you go down this chute, the more you need to be in the center. So if you're using an extra mile or using something that has, and doing over, your odds of ending up in the rough on a great are huge. They got it right. QB works great on this hole because you can come back in this area and you can try and run it down. With a 100% accurate club, you have a much better opportunity to, even if you hit it wrong, to be in the right spot. So that'd be like 4-8, almost 5 rings. Let's try and hit it perfect. Hitting it perfect. El perfecto. Just try and float myself down there towards the end. And that might be, this actually might be a better shot for a QB because you're not using your max distance. You've pulled it back from the red line because you're bouncing over that area, and a QB's got more topspin than a rock. So you may have a better opportunity with a, and we're obviously not going to have enough distance to do the rough bump. And if there's a hit, now I could fix that by bringing out a Horizon or a Guardian. And Guardian, I'm not sure if there's enough topspin on a Guardian. Most of its life it lives at around 2.5 when it's upper, and I'm not sure that there's enough topspin on there. The thing about a Horizon is if you hit a Horizon perfect, it's great, but when most of its Horizon's life, it's in the like 2.4 per ring range. And if you hit it perfect, you're fine. But if you hit it great to the left or the right, it is way in the hell great to the left or the right. Yeah, I think I'll have to bring I don't even think from that area. I'd have to get all the way down to the tip. So it would definitely be better to bring a quarterback so that I could get better distance up there. And I don't like where that's hitting. 2.5, that'd be 2.7. There's the 7. There's the 1, 2. Hitting it perfect. Let's see if we can clip that rough and do that. If it clips it or if it gets caught in it. A little short. A little short. That's a dangerous deal doing a second bounce rough bump there. You get that a little bit wrong and you will end up stuck in that rough. I think doing it the way my opponent did, if you're not far enough up there to do the actual rough bump. And I think the only way we're going to be able to do the actual rough bump is, number one, we've got to get all the way to the tip, and we will probably have to bring a Horizon. In the hole. In the hole. Hole number 2. Exit. All right, hole number 3. What is hole number 3? This is one of these. Must be a par 3. All right, I'm going to do a rough bump here. There's a lot of different, there are ways that you can come at this. You can come from this way. You can start off out here and come at it this way. But this rough bump here is, in my opinion, is the best, most consistent way to try and go for hole-in-one. But we will probably, I'm going to do a 10% adjustment on this. But if we're getting a due headwind, we may have to up that. We'll see which way the wind's blowing. I'm going to bring a grizzly and a nav. I'm going to take that, take whatever that thing was that I have on there off. Navigator. And a grizzly. And I think for that one hole, it would definitely be better to switch. That last hole, definitely better to use a quarterback. QB. Let's scratch off rock and put QB. What I found with the QB and the rock, and I was having a discussion with one of my teammates about this, one of my viewers, is the way it's worked for me is that my QB, once I got a QB, my QB was my accurate club, and the rock was situational. There were times when you needed that little bit of extra distance just to get you over the trap, and then the topspin wasn't as big a factor. But once you get your rock to level 8, your rock becomes your primary accurate club, and then the QB is the situational club. There's max. There's mid. Min, there's mid. I'm gonna play a max number. So it's 4.4 plus 4, 4.8. It's 4.8. Hitting it perfect. Just a bit outside. Good distance though. Part of that could be me where I set it up. It would be better maybe to set it up more on the shallow. I like setting it, I mean, obviously if you watch my channel on a regular basis, I'm a big fan of giving myself plenty of room and where I'm setting it up. I don't like to be a half a ring away from someplace. With this kind of wind, it's not a big deal, but when you're doing head or tailwind and you're right there in those really slim rough bumps, it's super easy to get blown off the rough. And the most important part of a rough bump is actually hitting the rough. El Perfecto in the hole. See if my opponent can get in from here. It's going to be rough. In the hole. Birdie, birdie. There's a lot of opportunities in this course to pick up shots, but this is also one of those courses. I think the minimum score is pretty easy to attain. Okay, this hole right here. There's two ways to play this. Hold on one second. All right, so two ways to play this hole. I will tell you that if you've got a tailwind, and you got a power 3 ball, there's a spot right here, and you're trying to get, zoom in there a little bit. You're trying to get one bounce right here, second bounce, even if it clips the rough, you're trying to just bleed out. And where do you want to get over here? Where's the optimal spot? On the green or on the fairway? It doesn't matter, because if you can make it over here and you're on any of this light green stuff, you're in the catbird seat. So this shot right here, you can take with a power 5 ball depending on which way the wind's blowing. If you've got tailwind or any kind of side wind, if you're on this side of the line, you can bring out a power 5 ball and you don't have to do any overpower. If you bring out a power 3 ball, this is more than likely with any of the wind that's on this side of the line, you're going to be doing a max OP shot. If we've got any kind of headwind with a power 3 ball, it may be hard to just get to that spot. You may end up just always getting stuck in it. You may have to up it to a power 4 or a power 5 if you've got headwind. So this is one of those holes that if you're taking this particular shot, depending on which way the wind's blowing, is going to determine what kind of ball you're going to use. If you've got access to power 5 balls, taking this every time with a power 5 ball, at least when you've got wind on this side of the line, is going to be pretty easy. If the wind's blowing on this side of the line, you're going to have to do some overpower, but probably not max. If you've only got power 3 balls, this shot may only work if the wind's blowing on this side of the line. The other way you can go at it is you can try and bounce off of this area, getting over to here, and this is a huge backboard. I'm not going to say it's impossible to end up here at the top, but it's pretty hard. I mean, you really got to make a special effort to try and overshoot to get up here, because typically it'll roll up to the top and then roll back down a little bit. Several things about this. This shot right here, shot number 1, is no walk in the park because of this area. So this area is basically, this is the flat spot. Everything here is all downhill in every direction. So it's one of those things where you want to push it closer because you want to get more distance. Well, the curvature's like this. So you're up here at the top and you're seeing what your bounce would be like. Your bounce is going over here and it's ending up in the sand. So what we'd normally do, because our red line's like up here, you push it forward to get to the red line. But when you push it forward, you're down here on the slope. So what happens when you hit down on the slope? The shot is flatter instead of up here where you got a normal arc. So the farther you push it forward, the more it wants to dig into the sand. So you need to pull it back a little bit in order to get over there. What I find a lot of times is you'll end up clipping this rough and then just rolling out in here, which isn't a problem. But it's super easy on this if we've got the wrong wind to end up in the sand. And you don't want to end up in that sand at all. I mean, you're in big trouble, because even from out here, there is a rough bump that we can do here, where we're using this rough from this area, and it's a long iron. If you're out here in the sand, you can get up on the green with a Nirvana. You can get over there. You could bounce over from here and just try and get over to that side. You can recover, but it can be tricky to get out into this area. It's tricky enough to get out to here and be in a consistent spot. For me, this drive on this side, it's hard to end up in a consistent spot, okay, where you're in that spot every time. The second shot, depending on the clubs and the ball that you brought, you may have red line issues, where we really want to try and we can do a rough bump here, and we've got a pretty wide rough. You could start off on the other side. You'll need a little bit of backspin, obviously, because you're going to be coming at distance. But you could very easily find yourself, if you're in the wrong spot, and or ball and or clubs that you have in your bag, where your red line's right here. So you're either hitting in the sand or you're hitting on the other side, and you don't have the stuff. So you're going to have to take this shot, if you're looking at this side, several times, so that you know what ball club combo you need to bring in order to be able to make this. Maybe you can't get your long iron to the rough. If you bring a Goliath, you can probably make this rough, depending on ball that you have. But maybe, this isn't working out for you and you're always finding yourself in your wood on the other side of this red line. You're going to need to bring a Guardian. Even a low-level Guardian. You got crap for ball guy, but it doesn't matter. You put all the backspin on there and it'll stick on the green. But really, the best way to go for eagle here is here. But you can make an eagle from out here. It's just this red line issue with the club, the ball combo is going to be something that you're going to have to address. And the whole deal is you're going to have to address it with your clubs, because it's going to be different for everybody. If I'm going to try, I'll see which way the wind's blowing, but this is the shot. I'm telling you right now. Hitting over here and trying to just bleed up there, that is the shot. And I'm not going to go for any other shot other than this, because this gets me on the green, putt, short chip, get my eagle, as opposed to having to take this shot every time. But I'm going to take this shot just so that we can see, kind of get an idea of where we're at. I'm going to bring, because of that green area there, what I really want to do, this is one of those catch-22s. If you're in your wood taking that rough bump, you really need a sniper horizon. But if your red line's right there where that's at, you're going to need a guardian so that you can stick it up to the cup. And I don't think a guardian has enough topspin. If you're in your long iron, you're probably going to need a hitting long iron. And I really don't like playing with a Goliath. I'm not a big fan of the long irons that hit 135. It screws me up because the red line between my wood and my long iron are 0. So when you're trying to make adjustments with your long iron, you're pulling it up to the red line, it's so easy to go from one club to the next. Like a lot of times you can pull up to the red line and you go, oh, there's my red line, but you haven't changed clubs. But with a Goliath and or a B52 or any of these clubs that hit 135, when you get up to the red line, you're automatically into your wood. So if you've made adjustments on your club, you'll have to go back and make sure that those adjustments are right. And it tends to screw me up a little bit. I like having some red line. I'm going to take I'm just going to take a normal bag and let's see what it looks like from over there. But I think I'm going to switch this up. I'll take a sniper. Horizon probably better. Horizon might give me options that I don't get with a sniper. I don't think that's going to matter. I think it's all about wood, or excuse me, not wood, but long iron. And I think if I bring, I think that'll be fine. I'm going to try it with it. I'm going to bring 2 bags. I may use this bag and I may use this bag. I'm going to start off with this one. I'm definitely not sure about ball. Let's try it tight. Let's see what that puts me. We'll check it out. We'll see what we got going on. If we can find an opponent. Maybe. Maple Bay. To all my Canadian friends, this one's for you. I'm going to get my elevator music out. Here we go. This is I'm going to go have some lunch, read War and Peace. Maybe by the time I'm done, I'll get matched up. Simon goes first. And I will tell you that whatever my opponent, that way that my opponent's going, it'll be really hard with a 3 power ball. Let's see if my opponent can get up there. They should be able to. If they hit it perfect. Hitting it perfect. That wind kills it. Kills it. That's the deal. Now watch. Let's put some topspin on here so I can get to the other side. And so if I push it forward, it starts to dig in, and I pull it back. So we're trying to find that happy area. Where I get as much distance as I can. Big Tapa. And I'm going to put a little bit of curl on it because I've got a little bit of room. Hitting it perfect. Let's see if I can not clip the rough on the other side or if it clips the rough. Clip the rough. Rolls out. I like the shot that my opponent. I'm always going to go the way that my opponent went. I'm just always going to play it that direction. This is one of those areas where, especially in upper developed Nirvana, you can run that topspin out as long as you start off on the fairway or at least a cut or two back from the green. Run that topspin out. The closer you can get it to you, the more accurate it becomes. Nice shot. Let's see where my red lines are at. So I got room there with a 3 power ball to work out some wind. Two, 3. I'm going to do a 2-5. Let's hit it perfect. Hitting it perfect. Just a bit outside. I started off on that side of the cup, I think. I should have went right towards the pin. Good effort. So, right there I had a big topper. I like the big topper. Everybody's going to have a big topper. Got lots of topspin on it. You can use an extra mile to get to the other side, but just trying to end up, if you're from where I was at, if you've got a 3 power ball, if you bring out a Goliath, you can push that red line forward, and you're always going to be able to make that shot, that rough bump with a long iron. If you bring out a lower power ball, you're going to pull that red line back. So if you use, right there, if I'd used a Katana with that type of wind, I would have been right on probably right at the red line, adjusting the wind out. If I used a 2 power ball, or excuse me, a 1 power ball, I probably would find myself in a spot where if I didn't have a tailwind or wind blowing towards the cup, I wouldn't be able to work the wind out. So I think that with pretty much any wind that you could get, that 3 power ball and that Grizzly will work right there. All right. Not picking up anything yet. Not really trying. We're just dinking. What's the next hole? What's hole number 5? What is hole number 5? All right, there are several ways that you can go at this. Traditionally, in one-on-one, I almost always play down to here. And it can be a shot. You can, if you bring out, especially if you bring out a Marlin, your red line's like way back here. You got a long ways to go. If you're out in this area, what you want is you want to be able to clear this rough up here so that you can go towards the cup. You can come out into this area where you're coming at the green from here and you've got a teed off rough bump, or you can try and bounce from here to get over. I don't see, if you're bouncing from here trying to get over, I don't see you having, you can set it up and go for the shot, but I would definitely give myself a bunch of room right here. You're probably going to have to use curl, and anytime you put in the word curl in a shot, your shot of repeatability goes way down. You probably don't have a really good shot at getting an albie, but this right here is going to get you an eagle. Get in the fairway, get on here, eagle to get on, make your putt, make your chip, and move on down the road. If we're going for albie, I think really there's only 2 legitimate ways. Probably the most legitimate is to go for the rough bump. Or you could start off on the other side with a backspin club and try and go right at it. You can come out into here and try and bring it this way. I'm going to I usually don't. If you're bringing out a lower power ball, you can't play from over here because you won't be able to reach that. You'll have to use this island, and you're further back in the island, and then it's even harder to get over to the other side. You'll have to bring out at least a 3 power ball from here, and I'm not sure, depending on which way the wind's blowing, whether this rough bump will always be there if we've got a headwind. I'll play this side over here. I normally play this side right here, but I'm gonna play this side over here just to let's see what that looks like. See what it looks like. I'm just gonna take I'm gonna take 2 bags. I'll either use a number 1 or a number 2, one of those two. I'm gonna start off with that one. Let's bring it Titan. King, the king of balls. Where am I at on this? 220, 255. Close, close. What hole are we on here? What is this? Hole 5. Doing 10 and 10 on this hole too, I think. Got matched up pretty quick. What's the deal? I'm just wondering. Let's see what that looks like with a big topper. I mean, obviously I have to use some kind of curl in order to get that back into the zone. I'm gonna wing it. Oh, that was 7. That literally was 70,000 rings great to the right or left. On those particular types of shots where you have to use whatever club that you have, bouncing it over there. That's if you're going to bounce stuff over like that. I like a big topper. I also like to set up those shots where I'm using a lot of curl, to where I'm using max curl on whatever club it is. If they did a max overpower shot there, you can get those bounces right. You could end up on this fairway. That would be super. Super. I take these blind curl shots a lot, and it's just practicing on that hole, but setting it up so that you can always do max curl. I'm not a big fan of like, okay, I'm going to use half curl or 3/4 curl. Sometimes we have to do that, but anytime you can set up a shot where you use max curl, in my opinion, it's desirable. I'm not sure. No, they're not going to be able to recover from there. Okay, I'm a max club. It's 3-3. One, two, 3, 3. Hitting it perfect. We do need to save my opponent because he's in big trouble. In the hole! Saved my opponent. There we go. Because they needed some saving. They're in big trouble. Now I will tell you that if I was my opponent, I would be doing a max overpower hook shot right here. See if you could get it up and get on. They got a really good, if they have a great opportunity from right there to recover if they had to recover. And that was a wise play to give themselves a great opportunity. All right. Now that's pretty cool. I got a platinum chest for that. Is that a platinum or is that just one of those chests? Are they all platinum? All right, hole number 6. Hole number 6. All right. Now, what is hole number 6? I'm not sure what the wind adjustment is here, but I know that it is way in the hell downhill. So it's got to be at least, it's got to be somewhere between a 15 plus adjustment here. There are several ways that you can come at this. You can try and get up here and backspin it up. And this is a hole that can screw you up big time because it's easy to roll off onto this side right here. You can come over here and try and bring it down because it's got a huge backboard. You can see where the bottom is down here. It actually kind of runs like this. There's a flat area right here and everything else is running down. Hold on one second. Alright, sorry about that. FedEx, UPS, Amazon. Alright. I'm going to do the rough bump. What am I doing again? 15%. Is this hole 6? This is hole 6. I'm going to have to work on this wind adjustment down here because I'm not sure. This is another one of those areas that I think if we're doing a rough bump down here, we're going to have to chase the wind, and this could be a dangerous deal. Let's just try it first and see what happens. I'm not sure because I have no notes in front of me other than I went through some tournament my practice sheets and kind of wrote down a few wind adjustments. Let's open up one of these chests. Let's do this one. Get it rolling. Clear out a slot. Whatever was in there. Okay, here we go. Actually, that bag will work. Any bag will work. I'm not sure what kind of ball to use here, though. I'm not sure what kind of ball it takes to get over to that area. I don't think it takes anything special. We will see. Let's wing it. If you have a low-level Guardian, you can get over to the other side, put on, you'll have diddly squat for ball guide, but you can get over to the other side, put on max backspin. As long as you can see that second bounce hitting the green, it's going to stick to the green. I think when you first get your Guardian, it doesn't have max backspin, but it's got a lot of backspin, and it has no ball guide, but it does show you where the second bounce is going to land, and as long as that second bounce is on the green, it will stay on the green. You can start a little bit higher on the hill, which is to the right, and it'll roll down that hill, and you might get lucky. This is one of those par 3s that I think, other than trying to do this rough bump, this is there's max, and there's min. So min club, that's 1-3 per ring. Three, 5, let's just say 4. That's 1-3 per ring, so that's about 3 rings. Little titch over. There's 1, 2, 3, and a titch over. Oh, that was at least a 2-ring grate. But that will get you there. And that was with roughly about a 15% wind adjustment. It was 3.5. Let me pull out my calculator again. 3.5 times 1.1 will be 385. Divided by 1.3. Right at 3 rings. You can follow that trough down. Some people go, that's a, the funnel. No, that's your ball guide. You can get your ball guide to follow that down there in several areas. I like that rough bump. Let's see if they can get that in there. That looks like it might be close. I especially like that rough bump with the way that the wind was blowing there. It was a pretty safe shot. If you hit it wrong, you're pretty good. But if you've got, we may have to chase our adjustment. Once again, if we're dealing with a headwind, how the ball is going to get affected with a headwind versus how the ball is going to get affected with a tailwind, we will have to make adjustments for that and chase it around a little. This is why having at least one practice account, so you could play the hole, see what it does, make an adjustment, play your main account. Go back with your practice account, play that hole, see what the adjustment looks like, play it with your main account. Having at least one practice account would be really, really helpful. Hole number 7. What is hole 7? All right. Now, I will tell you that if you bring out a big enough ball and we've got the right kind of wind, you can go for this side in one. You can come out here and try and get in this area right here and try and get yourself over. It's second bounce, first bounce, second bounce, over, trying to get out into this area. It's possible, and you can do it. I've done it. And you're aiming from where the tee box is. You're going to be aiming off, if you draw a line straight to the tee box, you're not going to be able to get out here with your red line. So you're going to be starting off with your ball trajectory going like this, and you're going to have to bring it around. And so it's definitely a max curl shot, however you're setting it up. I've done this shot with an extra mile, so you don't need to bring out an apocalypse. Although if you've got an upper developed apocalypse, you're getting more raw distance. You do have access to more curl. But it is possible to get over to the other side. What I don't like about shots like this, and I'm all about trying to, on par fours, of why give myself a shot from here when I can give myself a shot from here. This is one of those holes that you have one of two things that can happen. You're either in the clear or you're in the drink. And I'm not a big fan of, like, when we talk about risk versus reward. The reward, if we get over here, is we get an eagle. Easy. The risk is that we end up in this drink. And it is super easy trying to get over to here to end up in the drink. So risk versus reward. If you find yourself on the back nine and you're on this hole and like you're out of it, you've got to pick something up. You've got to take a risk. That's a risk that you could take if the wind's blowing right. It's possible. I would definitely want to go out there and practice that shot a few times. Go out there in the practice session and practice that shot so you can see what it feels like and where you need to set up for the curl that you have on your club, so that if you do get into a spot where you go, I got to take that, I got to try it, I got to go for it, you at least have a better shot. You've practiced it a few times. I'm going to just try and lay it up out here and just try and give myself a straight up shot coming in. In one-on-one, because I don't bring out a big ball, you can get right on this. You can get on this pad right here. You don't have no fuss, no muss, just trying to run yourself out. Obviously, the closer you can get. This hole is very similar in the way it responds down at the end as, was it hole number 1? No, sorry about that. Hole number 1. Yeah, it's very similar to what you get on this hole right here. So just trying to get out there and to get myself into the range and being consistent about it. It's more important to be consistent. So if you're coming out here in one round and you're like, hey, I'm trying to get over to this side right here, and now I've got a headwind and I've got to do overpower, your landing spot out here is going to be inconsistent. Using this island to get out here, you leave yourself good room on the red line, and you can establish what kind of topspin you need to do, and you're going to end up with a more consistent landing area. So sometimes you could come over here and the wind's blowing such that you could use this, and sometimes it might be better to use this. Once again, this is a hole that some people may go, oh yeah, you only need to use a Nirvana here, or excuse me, a Navigator, or you can always do this with a Katana, and if you've got headwind, you just have to put overpower. I'm not a fan of that. If you're going to take this shot, pick a ball that will work in any wind. That way, your second shot, going to the cup, your red lines are always going to be in the same spot. And you're using the same ball. So we had a headwind today. I bounced off the island. I landed in the spot that I normally do, and I got the same ball that I used when I had tailwind. And so you can set this, you can be more consistent with your second shot instead of having to go, okay, now I got a 3 power ball and I'm in minimum club, and when I had a 1 power ball I was in max club or mid club. You won't have to chase those numbers around. So whatever ball you're going to use here, use a ball that will work in any wind. At least it sounds better. I really like to do these shots with accurate stuff. Let me set one of these bags up. Let me set this bag up. There's some of these holes that I think a QB actually works better. We'll see what our look is to get over there. I'm going to try a rock. Yeah, let's switch to a Titan. The King. This tournament's sponsored by Titan, the king of balls. Winning matches is not as important as getting a low score. My opponent's got a. Now let's think about it. If we had a 6 mile an hour headwind, we'd be very close to not being able to work that wind out. Now they've got a Titan, so they can do the bounce off the island. And if you do the bounce off the island, you could probably just be consistent about it and bring out a lower. Let's think here. Bring out my QB bag. Right at max. Max top spin. Give myself about 3 rings of separation. 2, 3. 100% accurate club. 2, 3. I'm going to put a little bit of curl on it just to bring it back to the left-hand side of the fairway. Hitting it perfect. Try and give myself a nice look at it. 319. I like the claw. Claw's a great club. It's got backspin, topspin, pretty accurate. When it gets upper developed, it's 75% accurate. Ooh. Oh, Jesus. That was close. Let's see where I'm at in my club. There's min. There's max. I'm at mid club. So it is 4.5 times 1.1 equals divided by 1.4. It's 3.53 rings. There's 3, 5, 3. Hit it 1 ring great to the right. In the hole! I'm not sure if that's because I over pulled it. And the perfect would have went in on the other side. It's pretty close right there, mid club. It might be a slight over pull. Maybe instead of 10. I'm always excited when I hit a great shot and it goes in the hole. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. But the flip side of that is that I'm excited. I'm happy I got the eagle right there, but I'm not happy that I did the shot that I wanted and I ended up. I'm happy that it came in on the right-hand side. So a perfect in that zone right there would have put me on the left-hand side of the cup, but I think I would have just missed on the outside. So I'll have to go back and watch that video and really see what I did. I didn't like having to take the wind adjustment the way that I took it. I really didn't like the way I had to take the wind adjustment there, but I don't want to take my wind adjustment where I'm pulling from the sand because the sand was distorting the rings. So I could have started off on the other side, or I could have pushed the wind out. In that situation, it might have been better to push the wind out, but I'll take the eagle. Okay, what are we on here? Hole number 8. What is hole number 8? Grizzly Nav. Let me write that down. Grizzly Nav. This is one of those. I know exactly what this hole is. I'll tell you a funny story about this hole. So, hitting up here, I like to be in front of this sand trap when I'm coming at the green. The last time we played this in a tournament, and I know that typically on these type of greens when we're going down, I usually do a plus 30. I'm going to start there. I haven't went and looked at the notes for this hole. But the last time we played this in a tournament, I came to this hole, I did the plus 30, I did everything, made my wind adjustment, and was just to the left of the cup. So I came here again, and I did the same shot because I wanted to see if I got the same results 2 times in a row. And back then we had consistent wins. So the next round you're looking, the next account I'm looking at the same win. I take the shot and I hit it 1 ring great to the right, and bam, hole in one. So I make some adjustments to try and move the ball over to the right so that when I hit a perfect, it goes in the hole. And I make some adjustments, and I'm still not on it. I'm still not getting a hole in one. I'm still off the cup. I hit it great to the right. Again, bam, hole in one. I'm in my practice account. I'm doing the same stuff. I'm hitting perfects, and I'm off the cup. I hit a great to the right in my practice account. Bam, hole in one. And I've made adjustments. So it's not like I've stuck with the same thing and I'm trying to make something that I know doesn't work. I'm trying to make adjustments. And every time I hit it great to the right, I get a hole in one. And every time I hit it perfect, I'm off the cup. So I get to the weekend round and I went, screw this. Why fight the system? If it wants me to hit it great to the right and that's going to give me a hole in one, then screw it. Set the shot up like you have been and purposely try and hit it great to the right. And guess what? I did. I hit it great to the right in my practice account and in my main account 4 times in a row and was off the cup. I get into my low-level account and I hit a perfect and it goes in the hole. So this hole pisses me off. This is the only hole that I think I've ever played in the game where I was like, I got to the weekend round and I told everybody at that time, I said, just bear with me. This is the deal. I'm just going to hit it great to the right. And if it goes, because that's the only way I'm getting it to go in the hole. So I have no idea. I know you can't get a hole in one on this, but let's see here. I'm going to take I don't think we need a lot of spin. So I'm just going to take a nav, cut the wind down just a little, and a grizzly. Let's open up a chest. Rollin', 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 get them wagons rollin'. What did I get upgraded? The off-roader. Getting it to level 6. What's it get to level 6? Getting some distance and some accuracy. Starting to get up towards the starting to get, I think the off-roader, the max distance like 133, but it does get more topspin than their Nirvana, and it does get better ball guy when it gets up. But it is at that point where it's pretty close. You know, it's becoming a viable option. I think one more level and it becomes even a more viable option. But this is definitely one of those. This is a club that's definitely on my list, and I'm trying to get upgraded to level 8. I only have 7 epics that I'm going to work on with the club card trading, and the off-roader is definitely one of them. But I got a long ways to go. 600 cards. It will take forever. All right, what were we doing here? Did I get all my stuff? I did. Grizzly. Navigator. Let's just go play it. Now, I'm going to pull my trusty dusty calculator out so that I can actually freaking do a win thing where I'm not working it out in my head. I'm not exactly sure where I'm at in my club. Typically on these big downhill ones like this, I typically like to work the shot out so that I'm in the 1 per ring. I just treat it as a max. But I'm not sure here if I'm actually in mid or minimum, if I'm actually using mid or minimum. We'll do it that way. I go first. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, 3.4, and I didn't figure out where I was at in my club. Dumbass. That's 4.42 rings. Hitting you perfect. I did so many things wrong on that setup that it's unlikely it's going to be close. Way underpulled it. Let's see if my opponent shows us where the red line's at. Nope. They didn't check theirs either, so maybe they know. This has never been... I mean, I don't see this as being a high percentage hole-in-one hole, although you can set yourself up, and I'm sure that somebody's out there going, dude, I get a hole-in-one on that hole every time I hit perfect. It obviously doesn't work out that way for me. Just a bit outside. They'd make those cups bigger. In the hole. Now this last par 5 is a great opportunity for an Albie. And it's kind of like the last tournament we played, the par 5 hole number 9 that's in there. It's one of those ones that if the drive is, you can kill yourself on the drive. It's definitely one shot at a time. But if you can put yourself in the right spot, you do have a really decent look at Albie on this hole. And I got to remember how to play this hole, because my goal is to get all the way down into here, and there are a bunch of different ways that you can do it. If you bring out a bigger ball and an extra mile, you can actually get in front of this. Instead of coming up from up here where you're bringing it down, you can actually get in front of this line and you can try and stop it up there. You want to get as much distance as you can down in here. What I like, our second shot, we have some options here, and if you're bouncing over from here and then bringing it to the cup, my goal is to get deep enough down into this area so that my red line is right here, so that I have full access to this area and I can set my shot up wherever I want. If you bring out a club like a Horizon, now if you've got an upper developed sniper and you've got the ball guide and the top spin, this is a great shot. You're going to be able to walk it to the cup, and it does lie to you. If you run your ball guide all the way to the cup, it's going to go past it. You want to leave it just a little short. And I am going to do a 10% adjustment to the cup. If you brought out a Horizon, you can do a rough bump here and rough bump it to the cup. And if you hit it perfect, I mean, you're spot on. The Horizon's great when you hit perfect. The problem with Horizon is that for most of its life, it's like 2.4 in accuracy. And if you hit it great to the left or the right, you're way the hell off. But a Horizon will work great here. So if you got lower developed clubs, a Horizon's going to be your friend here. It's going to be your secondary club. The key is, this is definitely one shot at a time. The key is to get down in here as far as you can, but not end up in that rough. Because if it's a wood shot to get from here to here, and you're worried about red line, if you're in the rough down here, even if you have a Nirvana, you're going to be looking out over in this area. That's possible. You know, I mean, then you got a long, that's not good. No bueno. I've never been a fan of coming this direction. I think your best opportunity for Albie is down here. Now, one-on-one, I play this hole with a Marlin, and so my red line's like up in this area right here. And my ball guide, let me get so I can see the tee box. Your ball guide's running, is the greens out here, and I'm running off like this, and so I'm trying to cover this gap. So if you've got a QB, you can pull it out to your red line. 3 rings of separation off of this transitional surface, max curl, max side spin. Bringing out a Kingmaker is definitely better because you get 3 side spin. And just doing a blind curl shot and ending up down in this area, you can overdrive this and end up in the rough down there. I really want to start off on this side so we're just going straight out, and I think if you bring out a big enough ball, you can. I think if we had a headwind here, you may have to slide it over a little bit where you have to put on some curl, but I'm going to try this with I'm going to try it with a rock. The rock. And I'm going to bring a sniper just because all the wonderful things it does. Let's really try and get an Albie on this hole. You can do a blind curl shot here with a rock too. It's one of those things I need to practice it like 1 or 2 times, and I can't remember. I think with an upper developed rock, you're going to be like 4 or 5 rings off and do a blind curl shot. I can't remember. We'll wing it. As long as we don't overdrive and end up in the rough on the drive, wherever we get down there, we can make it work. It may not be ideal, but we can make it work. As I sit and wait for an opponent. Okay, let me go find the elevator music. Dun, dun, dun. They didn't want to hear me singing, so see how fast it is? I threatened to start singing, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Give him an opponent. So if you bring out a big enough power ball, you can get in front of this area over here and get a little bit more out, but you're still going to have to put some curl on it. But if we have any headwind here and we have to work that out, then that's going to be a problem. Let's just do the blind shot. Put on about 2.5 topspin. 2, that's 3 rings off. We'll see what it looks like. I guess we're going to practice on the last hole. Hitting it perfect. It's probably over curled. Probably should have went out like 4 or 5 rings. Yep. I could have put on all the topspin and went out 4 rings, and that would have been right down the center. I know if you use a QB though, 3 rings is right. Even with an upper developed QB, I'm a little short of where I'd really like to be. So I'm gonna make a note, 4 rings off. I'm gonna start with 3.5 topspin and work my way up. I'd rather be a little short and work my way up than be a little, and you can see how much more distance I needed to pick up. I left a lot of stuff on the table. You have tons of room here. Two miles an hour. I'm just trying to hit it straight forward. Hit it 2 rings straight to the right. I do not like that putt. And you're thinking, oh, that putt's not very long. That's a long putt for me. My opponent's obviously got a better shot at it. That little bit of distance right there. Like, what's the deal, dude? You damn it, all the holes, they weren't too bad until you got to the last hole. Ah, shit, you can't get it all right. Sometimes you gotta roll with the punches. And I'd have had a better shot there. If you are finding yourself a little short on the drive, you'd have a much better shot there with the Horizon because it hits farther. That was from where they were at, that was a poor effort. Hitting it perfect. In hole. A little slight struggle for eagle. Eagle. Not too bad. Pretty nice, clean round. Picked up 2. Coming into the final round with an Albie tiebreaker. That's not bad. I think the opportunity to come in really thinking about how these holes are set up, 15 or 16 is probably, and putting you up there towards the top, it's probably going to take, I mean, some brackets obviously you're going to be able to shoot lower than that, but I think in the majority of the brackets you're going to have to shoot a 15 plus in order to have any shot at a win and or banner. Not bad. I'll count that as a practice round. Not good, not bad. I'll go back through and I will play it with my practice account just to check it out. All right, that was the Maple Bay 9-hole Cup. That was a qualifying round, walk through everything on it. I see a lot of opportunities out here. These holes are not that hard, but there's a lot of these holes that are absolutely one shot at a time. All 3 of the par 3s are absolutely one shot at a time. You've got to get where you need to get on the drive to give yourself any shot on that second shot. And they're non-recoverable ones where if you screw up the drive, you're gonna be in a spot of bother. You can put yourself in the clear so that you got a shot, but you're gonna have a long shot coming in to try and recover. So on those par 5s, we really need to focus on consistent landing zones with our drive to give us the best opportunity to pick a shot up. All right. That was Maple Bay 9-hole cup qualifying round. Thanks for watching.